Okay, so we've got this announcement today that President Biden is talking about lifting the ban on E15. So of course, first that raises the question of, well, what on earth is E15?
So it's a blending of ethanol with gasoline. So you normally blend ethanol into gasoline so that you get it to be cleaner burning, right? So when you get the exhaust stream come out, it has less volatile organic compounds in it, less of the unburnt gasoline in it coming out of the exhaust. And that's what that ethanol does. It has some oxygen present, so it allows the gasoline to burn better. Typical gasoline has about 10% blended in ethanol, and that makes sure that you got complete combustion, especially when it is warm. When you add more ethanol into it, if you get some of that ethanol, which is a lot more volatile, to evaporate and get into the environment, then you have the problem that you actually create smog. So that's what E15 is, 15% ethanol blended into gasoline.
Okay. How much of an impact is that supposed to have on the price of gas?
Well, the claim is it's probably about 10 cents a gallon, which is about 2 to 3%. The problem with that is that you also lose fuel efficiency when you put ethanol in to burn rather than gasoline. So your miles per gallon go down when you put ethanol into your gasoline. So if you want a higher miles per gallon, you put less ethanol in. So when you get to E15 compared to pure gasoline, you'd be down by, let's say, 4 to 5% in terms of the miles per gallon. So you give on one hand, you lower the price at the pump because yes, there's a huge amount of subsidy that goes into ethanol. That's what keeps it cheaper than gasoline. If it was a true free market, ethanol would be more expensive than gasoline. But because of the subsidies, it is cheaper. So you reduce the price at the pump, but you get fewer miles per gallon.
Okay, that's very good to know. I hadn't heard that. And would it be available in the Houston area, for example? And how do you go about finding it?
So you have to look for stations that have E15 pumps. Those are not the same as the regular gasoline pumps because E15, the challenge with ethanol is that it likes water, right? Gasoline really does not like water, but ethanol likes water. And so it picks up moisture. So you have to be able to keep it a lot cleaner so that those pumps are few and far between the E15 pumps. I think there are about 2,300 pumps around the country that can handle E15, but that can be expanded. That's not prohibitively expensive to expand to, or of adapting an existing gasoline pump to make it E15 ready. It does put some cost up front for the pump operators, but it can be done. And it's available in the Houston area, but very limited.
Okay. Does it do anything to your car? Is there any risk that it might do anything to your car?
So, most cars that can handle gasoline and E10 should be able to handle E15 without a problem. It does, as I said, it does bring in more moisture, right? And so that's one of the challenges that we all recognize living in Houston is if you get moisture into your engine, that can cause problems long term. But typically, most engines, you shouldn't have a problem.
And this isn't the first time we've seen this ban lifted because it was lifted during the Trump presidency with the trade war on China. And then it was also in Houston lifted after Hurricane Hugo.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about, what the impact was from that? Did that really help when they did it?
It lowers. So again, there's a huge mental game that's going on here, right? You see the price at the pump go down by maybe 10 cents, maybe even less than that. But then you lose the mileage per gallon. So the total miles that you get out of a filled tank is slightly less. And so they sort of balance each other out. During emergencies, it's a really good tool to have because it expands supply. Today, in places like Houston, we are not supply constrained. We are constrained by the fact that the price is too high. And that's really putting a damper on everything that we do. In effect, this is going to be a psychological experiment on all of us, I think, that the Biden administration is playing. They reduce the price a little bit, and then you lose a little bit of the mileage. And so effectively, in the end, on your wallet, you're not going to see a huge difference.
Can you talk a little bit more about the potential for an increase in smog? Do you have anything that would kind of characterize how big of an increase that might mean?
So when you put E15, the volatility goes up. So if we do our job right, if we as consumers do our job right, and if the gas pump operators do their job right, we shouldn't have a significant smog impact. But all of us tend to, top off our gas tanks when we fill it in. We wait, we let it breathe a little bit, and then we fill it up a little bit, and we exhaust a little bit of that gasoline back into the air. And when we do that, ethanol is a lot more volatile. It can actually create a lot more smog because of that. And likewise, not all the pump stations are in the best of conditions. So you get some small amount of leaking that happens, and ethanol, because of its propensity to evaporate and be much more volatile, will create more smog.
Those are my questions. Anything else you want to add?
Well, that's about it. I hope this was helpful.
Very helpful. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks.